Welcome to Clean and Sober Stoner Tales from the Heavy Underground, which was one of my favorite things to say. I'm Jipsy. I'm here with Esben Willems, and I feel really lucky to be able to do this. We're in different time zones, so it took a little bit to coordinate. That is so much fun. So, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine. Just waking up, so yeah. Sorry in advance about that, but yeah,
Just
I'll get
waking up.
there. I have coffee. Everything is good. Sun is shining.
Yeah, I put a review out recently about your new album, your solo album. And if I'm correct, this is your first solo album, right?
It is. So yeah. And thank you for that review. It's beautiful.
Well, I'll tell you, it's not the first review that was published, but it's the first review I wrote for Clean and Sober Stoner. And real quick, funny story. I wrote it while I was really sick and I had a really high fever. And I listened to the album twice through and I wrote it really quickly. And then when I felt better a couple days later, I thought, wait, did I really write that? And I had to go back, and I did. And I listened to the album again and I was quite happy and I thought, okay, we do our best writing sometimes when we're feverish or relaxed. Yeah, I went back and kind of did a compare and contrast of which, the Monolord drumming is remarkable and heavy and just fits that so well. But the drumming on this project, there's a lot more punk involved.
You're not the first one that said that. I don't hear that. But that's fine. That's great.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'd love to hear, first of all, the name of the album is really a cool name. I kept calling it, because it's a glowing darkness, which is great imagery. But in my mind, I'd be calling it a growing darkness. And I think as the album goes on, there is a sense of something growing, something evolving. I'd love to hear from you, how this all grew together.
It's basically a collection of ideas I had from over the years, as you do when you play in all sorts of bands and all kinds of projects and play around with music with all kinds of people. And as it is, a lot of those things doesn't fit the current project or any project in this in this case. So I had these collection of songs. I felt like these are misfits. They don't fit anywhere. But digging through them, I still return to those ideas, those specific ideas. I like them. I still like them. I think I want to try to do something with them. And then at the end of 2019, we decided to take just a few months break from touring with Monolord because we've been touring intensely for quite a long time. So we just needed a break to recharge, and yeah. And then the pandemic hit. And I felt like, okay, I'll get on this right now. This is the perfect time to dive into this, which I did. So I rewrote some of it and rewrote most of the lyrics to make them relevant for where I am right now. And it was also kind of a test on myself because I know a lot of amazing people that are amazing musicians, and I could have easily asked them to play all the guitar parts and maybe someone to sing properly instead of myself. But I felt like I wanted to try what I could accomplish with my limitations, because that's what I tell everyone else always: just create. Mm-hmm. Don't let the limitation stop you, because you'll never get the perfect mic, or you'll never be super fluent on guitar or whatever. There will always be limiting aspects of what you do as a creator of art, of music. Just great. So I felt like this was the perfect opportunity to just try. See what I can make of it. I don't really play guitar. I basically fake it because I play what I think sounds nice, but I don't know what key it's in. I know basically no music theory at all. It's like the finger goes there. Oh, that's nice. I just go from there and do it that way. Same with singing. I just find the melody I think bits, and then I try to sing it as correct as possible, which I know I can't, but I wanted to try anyway because it was scary, and scary stuff is fun.
Scary stuff is fun. I'm with you on that. It's really cool to hear a drummer say, just try it and don't worry about it being perfect or getting perfect at it. And sometimes, especially with drumming, everything is timed and rhythmic. I find a lot of times the drummers are like, no, we got to get it just right. But
yeah,
that's so important
I'm
to just do it anyway. Well, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like for you to be able to bypass that, which comes naturally to most drummers, and create anyway, and do everything on it. I have a lot of respect for that. And vocally, I love this album vocally. There's one song, maybe it is. I really do. I think it might be Slow Rain, where it's really deep.
Oh yeah.
The vocals on that. And my I'm someone who experiences music. I have the physical response to sound, where I'll get chills, or I'll get muscle reaction, or itching in the ears or whatever. And that, when I first heard that, the low tones, the gravelly low tones, just really woke me up. And I thought, I have to turn this up, And I remember, I think in my review, I wrote that it was like it's sung really low, almost too low. And that's what makes it so inviting, I think, to the listener. Nice. It's like storytelling. Well, and the whole album is storytelling, which makes me wonder, do you, outside of music writing, do you write any stories?
That's amazing. Thank you. I don't, but I've always loved to scribble on song lyrics because it's so free, and I love words. I love language. I love to play around with it, and music. It's free. It's like poetry. You can do whatever and make sense of it, which you maybe can't a novel in the same way. I mean, you can, because you can just say fuck it, I'll do what I want. But usually, it's you're more free in music lyrics. I feel music or lyrics for quite some time now because of the success we've had with Monolord, which is amazing. It's great, but it's taken up all my creative time.
I love language and words as well, and I love storytelling and all the different forms of storytelling, and that's what this album felt like I was sitting down to hear a story. It was really interesting. I found a lot of your choruses are repeated rounds. Even the one song Space Bob is just the same lyric repeated the whole time.
Yeah.
And I find I put it on repeat, and and I'm singing along and I'm harmonizing, and I'm thinking, oh man, this would be a fun one in the studio, because it's it's mesmerizing. You get into it and it never gets boring. I really enjoy things like that. I like where things draw the listener in to participate.
Yeah.
And that one especially does it. All the choruses on this album draw the listener in to participate, especially if you like to sing, which I do. But that one, I had to save myself. This head is on fire. Is that right?
This head caught fire, but yeah, that's the sentiment of it. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. And, I'll have it on my big speakers as I'm doing things in the house, and I'm, pretending that I'm in the studio, putting some harmonies on it, and
that's
just
perfect.
So good. So good for the soul to sing through it. I wonder, did you second guess that at any point?
No, I didn't actually. I second guess a lot of things, basically all of the time, like many of us do. But not that. I've always liked, with lyrics and with choruses, I've always liked repetitive choruses, and I've always, speaking of words, I've liked minimalism, finding what you want to say, but in as few words as possible, and then repeating that. And in that, sometimes, if you're lucky, it can become, it can, after like been repeated for 2 minutes, it can start to mean something else or something more or something deeper.
Yes.
So it's super basic, verging on stupid, but at the same time, it plays with, for me at least, it plays with, it's so minimal basic that it it creates another sense for a while. I just said that, but that's kind of the idea with it. I like the idea of gospel music. I'm a hardcore atheist, but the music,
Right.
the way that just repetitive
that,
and builds
right?
and builds and builds and builds. I love that in music. I love a good chorus that just builds for far too long, deliberate too long. I love that. Probably
Yes.
why I love bands like Job. They don't repeat in that.
Right.
It's, there's often an idea that's being repeated for like 16 minutes. I love it.
This always happens.
Oh, hey. That's everything. Yeah, I just want to.
But that repetition of the choruses, I think it gives it, when we have something like that, like you said, it keeps going till it like carries on too long, even to some listeners. But I think it makes me feel like a child in a good way, where you've repeated it 2 or 3 times, and then I get to sing along, and it's like camping, being around that campfire, and everyone is singing the same thing. It becomes an anthem very quickly. So the lyrics I really enjoyed. I'm kind of a lyric nerd.
Thank you.
The Cabaret Street and Carte Blanche especially really appealed to me. The one that gets in my head a lot is that's why we're heading for the next utopia.
Yeah.
And the way that gets layered again, and it's this marching thing, and it always makes me think of being pretty young. First of all, it makes me remember the album Utopia, for the prog rock album, On the Road to Utopia.
Oh,
which is something my dad played for me. Not that it sounds similar, but just it's that the Road to Utopia was a concept introduced to me when I was so young by my dad with this record. And so that makes me feel warm and fuzzy. But then that the way that the round gets cut off and repeated and cut off and repeated, it is this very marching thing, the sense of we're heading to something on purpose with intention.
Yeah.
And it's definitely going to go on like a summer playlist for me.
Oh, nice.
Like when I've got a lot of people around, I'm going to want people to sing along with it. Super interested to how did you come up with that? Is it one of those things that just appeared, or was it a concept you worked at?
That was one of the lyrics I rewrote the most, I think. But for me, it's about, I always try to keep it as open as possible because I have my interpretation of it, but I don't want it to be super on the nose because it can be different for different people, as it is for me listening to other bands. But it's about being in bad relationships or bad contexts or just in bad places in life, and then ending that context, ending that relationship, and then continuing with something exactly the same, pretending it's different. It's like doing the same stupid thing over and over again and learning from your mistakes. It's like, okay, now this time thing way better, but exactly the same way. New utopia. So that's the sentiment for me. Yeah, that's where it comes from. Like,
I love it.
Happy idiots dancing towards the utopia that's going to be so much better, but exactly the same stupid shit as always.
Oh, there's a lot to dive into on that. The one song that really is a departure from everything else. Oh, I think it was a fortune teller. So I've already mentioned my dad, and I mentioned my dad a lot. He's really special to me. And a lot of the music that I tend to review is not his jam. You know, he doesn't he the stoner doom metal, not really his thing. But I sent him everything I reviewed, and I sent him this album, and I said, Dad, I think there will actually be some things you like on this one. And
Nice.
he listened to it, and he wrote back on that specific one that I knew he would like. And that was a really fun moment for me. But I think it's a very accessible album for people who like something that it's got a lot of heavy stuff. It's got a lot of heavy guitar riffs and the heavy drumming, and then the deep voice. There's some really cool growl type sounds that you're doing, but overall, it's a rock album. It's really a rock album in its elements, and I think I did, like I said, I did not know what to expect just knowing Monolord. What with your background with Monolord, of course, I have to touch on that. That is an ongoing success. When you first got involved with that, did you foresee that taking off?
None of us did.
On this album, you play everything. You do everything. I would love to know, like, because you have like really edgy, chunky guitar. What are you playing? What is that guitar?
That guitar is. I have it here. This is. I don't think I used anything else than this. Very basic. What is it?
Man, that
It's
beats my expectations.
Honer SE35. I know nothing about guitars. I bought this from my kid brother like 15 years ago because he didn't want it anymore. And then Thomas fixed it for me, and this is my guitar. So this is.
There you go. Yeah, my son has a Honer bass.
Nice.
That's great. It sounds really good. I love it.
Thanks.
And then, of course, you're doing the drummings. I know that you're involved in a studio. Did you do most of the tracking by yourself, or did you have some input on that?
No, I did all the tracking by myself. That was kind of part of the project, that I wanted to try to do everything by myself. Just to put those limitations on myself deliberately, because there is something interesting in that. I love limitations. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's super inspiring, because if you have an idea and don't really have the tools or the skills, you got to be creative. You got to find some kind of a way to. How am I going to fix this? I can't play this, so how can I play this anyway? And that's a really interesting ride. So that's why I also recorded everything and mixed and mastered. Yeah, did the whole thing.